Hello, my name is Lauren Barry and I will be presenting my presentation on the clinical statement, Childhood trauma increases an individual's risk of developing a mental health disorder later in life. By creating a PICO framework, I was able to break down my clinical statement to create a PICO question. My population for my question was children. Keywords to identify this was child. Alternate words I used included youth, juvenile, kid, minor, and adolescent. The intervention for the statement was childhood trauma, the keyword also being childhood trauma, and alternate words including childhood abuse, early life trauma, adverse childhood experiences, and childhood maltreatment. I have no comparison for the clinical statement. My outcome is a mental health disorder. The key words are mental health disorder, and alternate words include mental illness, psychiatric disorder, mental health condition, and emotional disorder. Using my PICO framework, I created my PICO question to be, does an individual have an increased risk of developing a mental health disorder if they go through trauma as a child? When conducting my PICO question, I chose to use the SNUG and Medline databases. Both SNUG and Medline provide full-text articles and literature for nurses, students, and allied health teams as stated by EBSCO. So, when conducting my search, I used the EBSCO search bar on both the SNUG and Medline databases. I entered my keywords and alternate words in the boxes. I also used tricks in the search, such as and or, to make my clinical search more clear and specific. This assisted me to produce better outcomes and research. From this initial search, there were 15,941 results. Next, I used limiters to further narrow down my search for the best evidence providing article. These limiters included articles written in English, published between 2020 and 2025 to ensure they were recent. They were in the English language, were academic journals, and discussed about individuals who were middle-aged, specifically between 45 to 64 years old. They also had a major heading including adverse childhood experiences, risk assessment, mental health, child abuse survivors, and mental disorders. As you can see, after these limiters, this decreased my search results to 7 articles. The highest evidence source relating to my clinical question was a systematic review titled Childhood Physical Abuse and Emotional Neglect, are specifically associated with adult mental disorders. Due to the fact that it was a systematic review, it was the highest evidence source I could find. Systematic reviews are considered to provide the best evidence for all question types, as they are based on the findings of multiple studies that were identified in comprehensive systematic literature searches, affirming its status as the highest level of evidence in regard to research. Now, the summary of my chosen article discusses how many studies have individually linked specific types of childhood adversities, like physical or emotional abuse, with mental health issues in adulthood, like psychotic, depressive, and anxiety disorders. But these studies have overlooked the overlap between different types of trauma and the co-occurrence of multiple mental health disorders. The aim of this study is to consider the co-occurrence of both mental disorders and different forms of childhood abuse and neglect. This will mean that experiencing multiple types of childhood trauma can increase the likelihood of developing mental health problems. This study was correct in its hypothesis. The study found significant correlations between childhood trauma and a wide range of adult mental health disorders, therefore answering my clinical question. By examining these complex interrelations, this study provided insights which can assist clinicians to develop more targeted interventions for patients experiencing both mental health disorders and childhood adversities. Reflection. This assignment allowed me the opportunity to conduct a PICO question using two databases, Medline and SNUG. During my tutorials, I found it difficult to grasp and understand the concept of what a PICO question was and how I was supposed to create one, but this assignment allowed me to further practice and perfect my skills. If I were to critique anything about how I conducted my research, it would be the process of using alternative words and limiters to narrow my results. It took me a while for my search results to become 7, but eventually I got there. Those are my references. Thank you very much.